All right. Hey, everybody. I'm Sarah Brandt. I'm an associate at the Institute, and we wanted to gather some of our CCC BSD colleagues for a remote learning panel. This is the first of several. We have Danny and Adrian who are here to chat with us today about moving beyond the screen. So we just wanted to take this opportunity to kind of capture some of the really unique and interesting things that our colleagues have been doing during this remote learning period so that we can all kind of grow our practice together as we move forward into July. So if you could each just take a quick moment, our organization has grown a lot, just if you don't mind introducing yourself, describe either your classroom or your caseload briefly, just in terms of the age range of the students that you're working with. Danny, why don't you kick it off?
Hi, I'm Danny. I teach on the BSD side. I teach students, I think, aged 9 to 12, all obviously on the BSD side, so have some type of deafness going on. We obviously use sign language all day, as well as some spoken English and English text, depending on the student. Yeah, and I'm lucky enough to be in a class that has some academics, but also some life skills, functional skills as well. It's kind of a cool mix of both. It's a lot of fun and kind of actually is helpful when doing these type of lessons online.
All right, Adrian?
Hi, I'm Adrian. I'm an SLP and I work on both sides, CCC as well as BSD. My students are, the youngest is 3 and the oldest is 21. And we really work in all modes, spoken English, ASL, and a whole lot of AAC.
Awesome, thank you both. All right, so if you want to just talk briefly about, we're about 3 months at this point into this remote learning period. What do you think is something that's the biggest success and maybe the biggest challenge that you've faced as an educator or as a therapist? Either one of you can start, whatever you prefer.
Okay, I'll go. I mean, in the beginning, the biggest challenge was definitely, knowing what was happening, and then 2, kind of making that schedule and kind of fitting in things as they made sense. In the beginning, I think back to week 1 when it was like, oh, I'm just going to send some activities and it'll be fine. And then like all of a sudden it's like, oh no, this is going to be a long time. We need to really dive into what is going to be the best for the students. So in the beginning, it was a lot of like, I would do a Zoom and I would have like 20 people in the Zoom and it was like, like that's too many people. And then kind of going back and being like, okay, we can't have that many people. Let's kind of, how do we want to do this? So I think that's been a challenge of using these technology options, but using them to the best of the abilities of the students. But then, I think that ties into the success is that it's amazing to lead a Zoom lesson with my 5 students and have a successful lesson and be able to do activities that we did in class. And that's kind of been the biggest thing is that a lot of the stuff I do in Zoom was stuff I did in the classroom, in the physical space, because because they know them. I don't need to be like, oh, now I'm going to do this wild activity that makes you do these wild things. It's like, no, we're doing this thing that we did 2 months ago. Yeah, it's in a new place, it's in a new location, but it's something that you guys know. And I think that kind of helped them get used to the model.
Great.
Cool.
How about you, Adrian?
I think for me, the challenges at first, definitely just kind of getting used to all of the technology. I don't feel like I use much technology in my normal day-to-day therapy other than the AAC itself. So that was an adjustment, but also a cool opportunity. Zoom and the green screen and all of these other cool kind of tools that we don't have in real life have been really fun and engaging for a lot of our students. I think another big challenge has been kind of figuring out, as Danny talked about, okay, which groups are okay, how many people is too many people, and navigating things like notifying people when it's someone's turn to be the speaker, the communicator, when to use the mute options selectively and when not to, and how to navigate the fact that we have very little control over the environment, which is so different than school. And I think positives have been the collaboration with families and even siblings and parents, and kind of working all together has been really nice. And a lot of students, this just seems to be like their setup, honestly. I have some students that are more engaged over Zoom than even sometimes in person. So I think it's been an opportunity to discover things that we wouldn't have otherwise discovered, which is awesome.
That's so interesting to know, and probably something that you can use kind of in the back of your mind moving forward when we are all someday together again. Are there any sort of tips or tricks or pieces of technology or a out of the box idea that kind of helped you move beyond the screen? I know, Adrian, through email, you and I chatted a little bit about the virtual field trips that you've done. I know Danny has done some cool stuff with some art projects. What was something kind of unique and cool that you were able to try during this remote learning period that was a sort of a change in what your normal practice was?
Yeah, I mean, I like to use all the stuff that's found within Zoom. So I don't know if anyone's using Zoom, but in the bottom, you touch that button and it kind of gives you a lot of options of you could obviously show what you've been looking at on your PC, but you could also use like the whiteboard, which is kind of neat. So kind of using those tools and within Zoom, I think was helpful. I watched like a video in the beginning of this that like laid out exactly all of the things you can do with it, which was so essential and so helpful. And again, kind of helped me then use the lessons that I've been using in school to use those qualities within Zoom. But yeah, I mean, I like to keep it simple with just like lots of games and guessing games is kind of like fun to do at home. Something that I like to do is like I like to have an object and then they have to ask questions about it, kind of like a 20 questions thing. And then something else is like have ideas of like, okay, you need to find something blue within the house, and they have to like go find something blue and then come back and all of that type of stuff. I that's what I enjoy, and I think it keeps them motivated and keeps them engaged in these type of activities. But that's beyond just the typical lessons that we do as well. I usually will end with something like that, something fun.
My daughter is in 4th grade in a public school, and they do a lot of that too. But of course, it's like 25 children, and they're all running to grab something blue, or she'll buzz into the office and I need something shiny and buzz out. It's been a good thing that I've seen for my own child as well.
That's fun. I think my favorite tool, or the most helpful tool for me, has definitely been the green screen. I did watch the green screen speech channel on YouTube was fantastic, and it's right now just like a giant box that I cut up and put green on and fold up and then bring out when it's time, and like made her magnifying glass and little floating wand with things. But basically it's really fun because I think it's been great for increasing joint attention, because so often we're looking together at a picture or a video or something else, but with the green screen, it's like we're all in the same place together. So you and the student are looking directly at each other and whatever's behind you. It's been great for initiation. You can kind of just pretend that you have no idea what's on there, and then all of a sudden a dinosaur is about to eat you, and it's the student's job to stop it and stop you, and you're kind of waiting suspensefully, which is fun because you don't have to give any prompts. You just have the environment as a prompt. So that has been a definite game changer. And what else? Yeah, I think for modeling with AAC too, it's great because if you spotlight your own video and you say you have the green screen or something else going on, and then you have your device that you're modeling, the student is getting a pretty nice large view of that, which is great. I think my favorite lesson so far was with Allie and I took Conley's class on a virtual camping trip last Friday, and the boys brought their own real hot dogs. So it was kind of a hybrid of pretend and real life. We pretended to go through the supermarket, and then we pretended to drive in the van, and then we pretended to sit around the fire and had to problem solve when bears came up. And anyway, the internet is limitless creativity, so it's fun to include all those things.
And talk about a way to incorporate some life skills into a virtual field trip, all the grocery store and what they're purchasing, and then maybe even some cooking. That's really, really unique. Very cool. If you had a colleague who's heard about some of this stuff and was like, oh, I want to try that, but I don't really know what to do and or how to do it, or there's so much to learn, what would you say to that person to encourage them to kind of just dive in and try it?
I think I would say just that, just dive in and just do it. I feel like in the beginning of this too, obviously none of us knew any of these things, but there's so much, and which can be daunting. But if you just kind of tone in on one thing, like, okay, I want to focus on this one skill this week, this day, and then you kind of pick it up. And we have so many people now. I mean, so many people, I didn't know any of that stuff that she was talking about, and that's amazing. And like, that's so cool. So using the stuff that we have, obviously Janice, but anybody within the CCC BSD community, I feel like we all have picked up so many unusual skills that we wouldn't have known we would have, which is so neat. It's so cool. And even some of the students have a lot of good skills. I mean, one of my students was using, again, in Zoom, you could do like the reaction of like a thumbs up or the applause. And all of a sudden there was like thumbs up happening. I was like, who's doing that? And I mean, it's a simple thing. It's just on the bottom, but so using all the students, using all the staff, I think we all have a lot of knowledge to give at this point, and just kind of finding those people who know what to do.
Yeah, I agree. I think I don't know, just kind of seeing it as an opportunity. Like some of these things we might not be able to use when we go back to school, but some of them we may, and maybe we continue to use remote learning in some format, whether it's to consult with parents or to connect with students if they're out of school for whatever health reasons. So yeah, I think it's worthwhile to just dive in and try one new thing a week or something, or just, yeah, keep it simple, like Danny said. And we're in the safety of our own homes to make weird mistakes and do new things. So everyone's pretty understanding right now that things aren't going to go perfectly. So that's kind of like extra freedom to like go outside of your comfort zone.
That's perfect feedback. I think it's interesting that I had heard such great things about your classes and therapy sessions, and I brought you two together, but even to know that, Adrian's doing things that Danny hasn't tried and Danny's doing things that Adrian hasn't tried. I think when, long ago when we were on campus together, people do kind of stay in their classrooms or their therapy spaces, and we've tried to really push people to, have opportunities to learn from one another. So to then put everyone in their homes, it's even more so that we're feeling isolated. So finding ways to share this information with each other, I think, is really, really important. So I appreciate both of you taking the time. I don't want to take any more of your day, but is there anything else you wanted to share with your colleagues or end on? Appreciate both of you sharing your experiences with remote learning.
No, I think we've all done an awesome job. I mean, I even if you feel like you haven't, you did an awesome job, because this was something that no one, 2 months ago, we wouldn't have been able to guess that this was going to happen. So good job. Like, anything you did was awesome, because it's wild. It's a wild time, and I bet the students loved every minute of what you can give them. And just keep pushing. I mean, I feel like even if we go back in July or in the fall, this stuff is not lost skills. I think, as she was saying, we will always have these skills now, and keep pushing them and finding new ones. I mean, it seems nuts to be like in June and now like, I just found out how to do this thing, but I did just find how to do something new like a couple days ago. So like, that's awesome, and we'll always have those skills. Hopefully we won't have a pandemic again, but there'll always be something that we can use and go back to.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I think everyone has been doing different things and really great things, and it means a lot. It means more than we know, I think, to our students and their families. So just keep on keeping on, and clearly life is very unpredictable, so who knows what we're going to need to use when, and keep sharing what you're doing because everyone has really great ideas. So
Awesome. Well, thank you both for sharing your experiences, and thank you to Jenna for providing communication access. Hopefully we'll all be actually seeing one another again sometime soon. We don't know when that will be, but until then, we'll look forward to meeting up virtually and sharing more tips and tricks. So thank you guys both so much. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
thank you.